The Manta, a Group B car, theoretically banned from an international event like the Circuit of Ireland, but by running in the Manta at the back of the field, he was able to go for 8 points in the Group B championship class, and that's what he opted to do. So that's the only complication. For the rest, it was business as usual. The winding roads of Northern Ireland, a loop starting and finishing in Belfast, provided the tough first day test. The four-wheel drive Quattro of David Llewellyn led the way, and the emphasis this year was on aggression from the start. New regulations had cut the circuit from its previous 5-day marathon to a 3-day sprint. There was little time to get used to new cars. Reigning champion Mark Lovell had a Ford RS Cosworth for the first time, and so too did Jimmy McRae. McRae, co-driven by Ian Grindrod, going for his 5th victory on the Circuit of Ireland, but the suspension on his Cosworth clearly needed some sorting. Russell Brooks had the chance for a little more preparation in his Opel Kadett GSI. Brooks swapping his Group B Manta to comply with international regulations, but with Mike Broad in the passenger seat, he was flying once again.
Straight, turn flat right, 50. Easy left. Right, flat left, 200. Crest straight. Mid-right. Crest straight, mid-right. Straight, slow left.
Brooks and Broad battling through what appears to be a little early morning Irish mist, but this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the mist has a strange burning smell.
Quick right. Quick left. It's quick right. So you think, quick right. Quick left and long, easy left opens. Over crest. Straight. Long flat right, over jump and slow jump.
It was all coming from the back end of Mark Lovell's Sierra, who pulls over to allow Brooks to power his way past. For Lovell, it's the first of 2 blown turbos in the first 2 stages. A puncture and a fire extinguisher going off in the car just added to the problems of the reigning champion. This is the BMW M3, hotly tipped to take the great Irish rally hero Billy Coleman to his 4th win on the circuit. But it wasn't to be. Both he and teammate Mark Duez were having fuel feed problems, and Coleman retired at the end of the first stage. Enter Duez, pursued by a dog. And on this occasion, the dog wins. Glad to say it was a flailing tyre and not a panting terrier that caused this damage for Duez, but it all summed up a miserable Good Friday for the BMWs. Sebastian Lindholm in the Audi Coupe Quattro is the man who sweeps past, and Lindholm was making a confident start to his first Circuit of Ireland. He was rarely more than a few seconds off the stage time set by the rally leader David Llewellyn. Another great Irish hope was right behind Lindholm and also looking good. Austin McHale in the Opel Monza GSI, a big car for the narrow Irish roads. Terry Cabey, giving a debut to the 1900cc Peugeot 205, was having an adventurous start. A puncture on the first stage and a quick off on the third. Llewellyn continued to set the pace, just as he had done in the opening round in Yorkshire, when a crash in the forest ended his hopes of victory. But with the BMWs and the Fords with problems, Llewellyn confessed he was surprised to be in front. Another great surprise was the speed of the Kadett GSI of Russell Brooks, always just a few seconds behind and actually fastest on the second stage. And here's a Ford that was going well. Phil Collins, quickest on the first stage, to lead an international rally for the first time in his life. And although Llewellyn took control as the first day went on, another Welshman, Gwyndaf Evans here, was also getting in the hunt. McRae's Cosworth was still hopping all over the road, but the suspension would be rapidly sorted, and in the meantime he was managing to stay in touch with the leaders. Another star drive on the first day, Simon Davison in the Golf GTI, who'd be up to 4th by the end of the day. Right behind Davison, Sebastian Lindholm. And remember, the Finn got 3rd place on the opening round in the championship, and he was growing in pace and confidence. Dave Metcalf in another cadet GSI was dicing closely with Davison, but giving second best on this corner. Louise Aitken-Walker was ahead of her Peugeot teammate Terry Cabey. And this is a last glimpse of Mark Lovell. After 2 turbos, a puncture and an exploding extinguisher, the engine would seize solid on stage 6. Also exiting, Ole Stromberg. His brief first drive in the Saab was ending with broken fuel lines. Back down the stage and surviving rather better, Ed Colton in the Peugeot Island 205 GTI. Mark Duez's drive was becoming a first-day rearguard action. Fuel feed problems and fuel management failure. But with teammate Coleman out with precisely the same trouble, Duez wouldn't stop trying.
From the start of the rally, we have this sort of problem, and when the engine gets hot,
it stops.
Yes.
Yeah. Right, and Billy is same sort of problem, has it?
Yes, and we find, I think, the reason in Billy's car, it's the same on mine, but it's a question of electronic sensors.
Right.
The last ray of hope for Duez, parked by the roadside, was the BBC camera car. Chauffeur Terry Harriman, who, having sat alongside Ari Vaknin and many others in his time, is a fully paid-up member of the Co-Drivers Union. So, where sophisticated electronic management systems had failed, the BBC jump leads would succeed. Sadly, we couldn't be there all the time, and very shortly the second BMW of Duez would follow the same way as the first. Day 1, and the threatening challenge of the M3s was over. The gravel of Boyd's Autodrome would complete the first day. David Llewellyn in the Audi Quattro Coupe would be the rather surprised first day leader. Just as surprised would be Russell Brooks, a few seconds behind in the Opel Kadett GSI. His pace had been the revelation of the first day. Boyd's Autodrome is a race circuit, unlike the rest of the rally, not dependent on the co-driver's pace notes. But occasionally the pace notes would have to be hastily improvised.
2 laps, you're coming off next this time. Over there. No, yeah. Go on, back off, quick. That way. That way.
Jimmy McRae, after a difficult day, would be happy with 3rd place in the Cosworth. Simon Davison in the Golf GTI was delighted with 4th. So now the field could look forward to the run south to Waterford after a first day that posed a few problems right to the end.
When you drive
Not bad.
10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Llewellyn stormed south, eager to repeat his circuit victory of the previous year. Damp roads were helping the four-wheel drive Quattro, but the pressure was mounting from McRae. McRae had all the suspension problems of the first day sorted. He swiftly overhauled Brooks and now was closing on the leader. Brooks was continuing to get 100% out of the Cadet GSI, but at around 180 horsepower, the power disadvantage was always too great. Phil Collins, who'd made such a flying start to the event, was now fourth. He was ahead of the Golf GTI of Simon Davison that was hanging on bravely in fifth. Sixth place it was Lindholm, continuing his very mature drive in the Audi Coupe Quattro. And also establishing himself in the top 10, Graham Middleton in the Toyota, apparently having overcome fuel feed problems of the first day. The second Works Cadet was in the hands of Andrew Wood, and nearing Waterford, he was able to put some pressure on the Quattro of Lindholm. Austin McHale remained the best-placed Irishman, encouraged by the increase in speed of the Monza. Louise Aitken-Walker was also heading toward the top 10 and still holding off her teammate Cabey in the more powerful 205. Llewellyn arrived in Waterford ahead, but only just. McRae had grabbed the lead on the 13th stage. Llewellyn took it back when the rain arrived on the last time section.
We were 3 seconds in front going into the last stage, but for the last 3 stages we've been using slick tyres, and we get caught out with the wet, and it was very muddy, and David was on wet tyres, so he took quite a bit, well, he took 6 seconds off us, so he's now 3 seconds back in front.
I think it's really down to the weather, you know, barring accidents and problems. I think if it's wet we'd probably be able to hold Jimmy off, but if it's dry I think we could struggle just a little bit.
The traditional Waterford Sunday run, normally the halfway point in the rally, but now the climax of the event. Llewellyn gambled on wet weather tyres, hoping for the conditions that would suit four-wheel drive, but it was never really wet enough. From this first stage of the day came the news that Russell Brooks had hit a tree in the Cadet, and he was out after a gutsy 2-day challenge. So it was Llewellyn versus McRae for the Circuit of Ireland. McRae on slick tyres wasn't able to relax in the early damp weather, but the conditions were to favour the Cosworth, and McRae took command. The heroes of the first 2 days were now having their problems. Brooks out, and Phil Collins here clouted a bank, and his apparently secure third place was gone. The front end of Davison's Golf is open to the elements, a legacy of a collision with a wall which dropped him out of the top 10, but he was fighting back. And profiting from all this drama, Sebastian Lindholm, now up to third. Graham Middleton lost out in his battle with Louise Aitken-Walker, victim of a broken throttle cable. McHale up to fifth for Ireland, minus the tailgate on the Monza. McHale claimed that he'd removed it after the tailgate worked loose. The scrutineers noted the weight loss with interest. Andrew Wood's top 10 challenge failed after a gearbox problem on the concluding stages. Louise Aitken-Walker kept things going in the Peugeot despite a crash in the same spot where Davison had gone off. And a faulty intercom also slowed them, and that allowed the Cadet of Dave Metcalf to get very close in the battle for 7th. Terry Cabey, getting more used to the Peugeot, was ahead of Louise by the finish in 6th place. And Auricula's gamble of running at the back of the field, that paid off. He won Group B and took 8 points. For the order as they headed back to Waterford. Jimmy McRae in the Cosworth Sierra, heading for his 5th victory on the Circuit of Ireland. David Llewellyn in the Audi Quattro Coupe with Phil Short co-driving, settling for second and his first championship points of the season. Sebastian Lindholm in third, enough to give him the championship lead ahead of Agricola. Phil Collins in fourth after looking good for a place in the top three. And fifth, and the best Irish finisher, Austin McHale in the Opel Monza. So a bit of history from Jimmy McRae, his fifth victory on the circuit, equaling the record set exactly 20 years ago by Paddy Hopkirk. And an outright record for Ian Grinrod, his fourth circuit success as a co-driver. Fair to say an unexpected victory for McRae, who'd had little time to get used to a comparatively untested new car. A very satisfactory finish also for Llewellyn and Lindholm. Especially for Lindholm, who now leads the championship from Penty Agricola. And Penty will be back among the front runners for round 3, the Welsh. That's next weekend. And you can see coverage.